Well, it certainly involves silencing the mind. The problem is that the ego won't be silent. This is why there has to be a surrender to a higher power, to a force that can save the ego. So the ego won't be able to surrender. It's not a matter of mechanics, but it's a matter of ripeness. The word that's often used is your hair's got to be on fire, and you want liberation more than the guy with the hair on fire wants to jump into a lake and put it out. You've got to realize the need for it with that level of urgency, and then you're ripe. Then you're what Ramana called gunpowder. Otherwise, you're wet coal or something that won't ignite. So the only way you will get to surrender is the realization of the need for surrender in order to avoid karmic blowback that will be unbearable. That's usually the motivation that gets people there. It's not out of sainthood in order to reach God consciousness while alive, because one will be able to give the bliss of salvation to many others. It's very rare that motivation enters in, unless you're Saint Francis or someone of that caliber. But the need to surrender at some point becomes the highest priority one has, because life has become unbearable within the ego frame of reference. And then the surrender will usually start with prayer and mantra, because you can't silence your mind. But that prayer, if there is a real intention of whatever a margin of love can break through the ego's need, will bring grace, and will bring let's say, a force of Shakti that will uplift the vibrational frequency and enable one to traverse the final fantasy of anxiety that was being spoken of when you get to liberation. That fear of the abandonment of the ego will become fear of being abandoned by God, and that will shift the forces, and one will be able to break through. So the liberation will be more the fear of God, in the sense of the fear of not having God's hand to get out of the quicksand as one is going down. And then that hand will be offered, because God is benevolent, even if you don't believe that God exists. That benevolence will be there for you when you're in the foxhole under fire and no longer an atheist, as they say. So that's why the wars have to approach, and the loss of everything, including food shortages, because starvation is a good way to get one motivated to want to be liberated from the body. But all of these events that are happening are going to increase the pressure on the consciousness to escape from its false self in order to be free of the consequences of its own karma.